as the walls begin to close around him.
The political walls closing in on him.
This is a president that feels the walls closing in.
The walls are closing in on Donald Trump.
I think the walls are finally closing in.
The walls have been closing in on Donald Trump this entire time.
The walls are closing in around him.
The walls. The walls. The walls.
The walls.
The walls.
Walls. Walls and the walls.
The walls. The walls.
The walls.
Walls are closing.
Closing in.
Closing in.
Closing in. Closing in on.
It's closing in.
The walls are closing in on President Donald Trump.
He's not looking forward to any of it. He's horrified. He's just talking big. The walls are closing in.
That Donald Trump will become the 47th president of the United States.
888-971-SAGE. 888-971-7243. Winning! How much more abuse can this man take? Second president ever to serve non-consecutive terms. And so they were completely, totally wrong about the walls closing in on them, just as they were wrong about the Hunter Biden laptop. Let's hear that.
Biden secret emails.
A really fishy story.
The Post claimed that the emails were found on a laptop computer that was brought to a repair shop in Delaware in the spring of 2019.
The FBI is now investigating whether those alleged Hunter Biden emails are actually connected to a larger foreign intelligence operation.
They may be related to a foreign intelligence operation.
Foreign intelligence operation.
Foreign intelligence.
Foreign intelligence.
Foreign intelligence operation.
For all we know, these emails are made up.
The information found on the laptop may be part of a Russian disinformation campaign.
Part of a Russian disinformation effort.
Described by many intelligence experts as having hallmarks. All the hallmarks, rather.
All the hallmarks of a Russian
disinformation.
Russian disinformation.
Disinformation campaign.
This is a classic example of the right-wing media machine.
And, of course, Donald Trump was accused of inciting an insurrection. The Secretary of State in Colorado attempted to get him kicked off the primary ballot, claiming that Section 3 of the 14th Amendment forbids anybody having been involved in an insurrection from holding office, even though Donald Trump was never charged with, let alone convicted of, insurrection. I give you Adam Schiff, number 6.
But in terms of the president's threats, I would say a couple things. First, all of us that worked on the January 6th committee are proud of the work that we did. We exposed one of the darkest chapters of our history when a president incited a violent attack on the Capitol to try to stop the peaceful transfer of power. The vast majority of our witnesses were Republicans. Some of them were high-ranking Republicans in the Trump administration who testified under oath and in public hearings so that the country could hear and see and learn about what took place on that awful day. A really important form of congressional accountability. So we're proud of what we did.
Sickening. By the way, the FBI whistleblower that came forward and said that Director Christopher Wray was not truthful in his version of what happened on January 6th has been completely, totally vindicated, has been reinstated. The man was suspended without pay, and because he was technically still employed by the FBI, couldn't accept any money for his defense. He and his wife had to live off of their retirement in order to stay afloat. Completely vindicated, now back. And I want to go over this one more time. Every election for the Democrats since 2000, they've challenged it. In 2000, Al Gore went to the Supreme Court claiming that the count in Florida was unlawful. And in that following January, there were about a dozen House members who claimed that the vote in Florida ought not be certified because the count was unlawfully stopped. Made the same argument that Donald Trump made, which is that the state of Florida had the authority not to certify that election. They failed, not for want of trying. 4 years later, George W. Bush wins re-election. 30 House members, including Benny Thompson, the chair of the January 6th committee, objected to the certification of Ohio, claiming that the Diebold voting machines had been hacked in favor to re-elect George W. Bush. They were also joined by Senator Barbara Boxer that made that objection. Fast forward 2016, when Trump defeated Hillary in an upset, Democrats challenged 9 states versus the 6 that Donald Trump challenged in 2020. Again, made the same legal arguments. And even though people repeatedly say Hillary conceded the election, she also, after having conceded the election, joined with Jill Stein, the Green Party candidate, in filing a lawsuit against Wisconsin to have the count done again, this time by hand. And Hillary filed a separate motion to make sure that the recount was done by hand. My point is that Democrats have consistently challenged elections. Nobody called them election deniers. Nobody accused them of undermining the foundation of our republic. People thought they had a First Amendment right to whine and complain, and they had every right to go to the courts and file lawsuits, which is what Donald Trump did. He filed several lawsuits, lost them mostly on procedural grounds, came very close to winning a couple of them, and there were all sorts of shenanigans in states like Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. Did Donald Trump mount a military attack? Did he barricade himself in the Oval Office? No, he filed lawsuits, which is exactly what you're supposed to do. And don't you want somebody who feels the election was stolen to use every legal device in order to show that the election was conducted with integrity? Don't you want that? And where were you during the 4 years when Hillary repeatedly referred to the man as illegitimate, said the election had been stolen, said it over and over and over again? And the very same people who are accusing Donald Trump of undermining the confidence of our elections and undermining the foundation of our republic didn't say jack. Phony, hypocrites, double standards, selective outrage. Donald Trump does it. He's a fascist. He's a tyrant. We come back. Interesting exchange between John Kennedy and a general. The hearing had to do with whether or not the military could be used for mass deportation. And Kennedy was rude enough to bring up some of the things that this general had said about the commander-in-chief. That would be Donald Trump. Thanks for watching these clips from The Larry Elder Show. If you enjoyed this content, be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss a moment. More thought-provoking discussions are just a click away, so stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next one.